This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. We're all Browns fans here, and as Browns fans, I think we're all worried and excited at the same time. Right. And I think this is a thing that we've been doing as a fan base this offseason, is being worried but excited at the same time. And while I am excited about this upcoming season, there are some players that I am worried about. Now, I don't want to just focus on the negative here. So what I'm going to do for each player that I'm worried about is give the reasons why I'm worried, but also provide some reasons that that player could overcome the issues that I am worried about. The first guy I'm going to talk about is Jed Wills. Now, there's a number of reasons to be worried about Jed Wills. Jed Wills is a good guess to miss a couple of games every year. So he's had nagging injury history before, and he's coming off of a knee injury where it feels like the rehab has taken longer than maybe it should have, or maybe it's going just the way that it should have gone all along. Either way, it's a bit of a flag there that you want to worry about. Also, Jed Wills is going to be thrown in more 5-0 protection. Now, 5-0 protection is basically the man protection of offensive line. It's basically one-on-one. We might slide wherever the mic is. So to understand 5-0 protection, it's basically this. You will have three offensive linemen on one side of the field, strong or weak, depending on who you designate as the Mike. Now, we know Mike as Mike, the inside linebacker, or the middle inside linebacker, and that's usually the term for Mike. But when a quarterback does a Mike point, they're not pointing out who the Mike linebacker is. They're not reminding people of the depth chart or who the green dot is. What the quarterback is doing when he makes the Mike point is telling his offensive lineman which linebacker or which line of scrimmage player or which DB that quarterback feels like is blitzing, right? Because remember, in 5-0 protection, it's just five guys. So there's a chance that you could be overloaded. So the way to battle against that is to try to figure out, based on pre-snap alignment, who's the blitzer. So when you see a quarterback yell, 28 is the mic, 57 is the mic, 62 is the mic, what they're telling you is this is the extra player that could be blitzing on this half of the field. Please slide the protection so that there's three offensive linemen on this side of the field, because that's where the blitz is coming from. That's what the mic point is. That's what 5-0 protection is. The reason I bring that up is 5-0 protection is also vulnerable to stunts and twist. And if I had to point out a weakness to Jed Wills' game other than getting beat inside, it is stunts and twists. Jed does not handle these things well. Now, fortunately for him, Jed is next to Joe Bitonio, who might be one of the best at doing this. But still, it remains to be said, Jed's not great at this, and he's going to see more 5-0 protection, which means he's going to see more stunts and twists, and I'm gonna worry about that. Another issue with Jed that I have that makes me worried is the fit with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson holds the ball longer than most quarterbacks. Even if he's changed up his play style a little bit, that's going to be the case. Deshaun Watson will break his coverage depth a lot. Like, that's just part of how he plays. It's a hard job to be the left tackle for Deshaun Watson. Ask Larry Tunsil. It's a hard job to be the left tackle with Deshaun Watson or players who play like him, right? Same thing with Josh Allen, same thing with Joe Burrow. It's hard. And I wonder if Jed Wills is the fit for somebody like that, because sometimes Jed doesn't follow through on plays. Sometimes Jed has a hard time playing through the whistle for whatever reason. And that's something that, when Joe Flacco's in there, when Baker Mayfield's in there and they're throwing at the 3 steps, it's not a big issue. But when it's Deshaun Watson and he could be anywhere at any time, that's a massive issue. So I worry about the threats. Now, why I think that there's case to not think that these negatives, these things that I'm worried about, are going to dominate Jed Wills' season is, one, I do think Jed Wills is a case of motivation versus inability. And this is what makes people frustrated with Jed Wills, rightfully so, is that it isn't that he can't do it. It's just that it feels like at times he doesn't seem motivated to do it, which can be very frustrating. I think Jed is somebody who plays better when the team is going good. Like, he's a bit of a front runner. A lot of guys who come from those big time college programs have this issue because in college, you have to be a front runner. Like, if you lose 2 games, you think the season's over. So it's just one of those things that, because of how college football was ran for so long, has a negative impact on a lot of players. He also has a lot of reasons to have a surprise boom this year. I think a new offensive line coach would be good for him. He's obviously plateaued to wherever Bill Callahan could get him. I think a new contract is a good thing for him, right? The fact that he's going to be playing on an expiring deal and has the chance to hit free agency. He has that contract year motivation, and that might be why he's taking his time coming back from his knee injury, because he wants to make sure that that knee feels as good as possible before he gets out there and practices or plays, because he doesn't want to have a lot of bad tape in a contract year. And he's also going to get a lot of exposure this season, because of the Browns' national TV schedule, which I think is going to make him play better. So that's my whole thing for Jed Wills. I'm worried about the 5-0 protection. I'm worried about the Watson fit. Greg Newsome is a player that I'm worried about. One, the hamstring injury. It concerns me going forward. I know he's gotten back from it, but it concerns me going forward because hamstring injuries seem to always come back, even years after you've had surgery on it. Now, it was a minor hamstring surgery, so maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill here, but I do worry about if that's going to be a constant lingering thing with him, or by the end of the season, we're going to say to ourselves, oh, we could really tell that Greg had that hamstring surgery because he just didn't look like himself all year, right? There was a year like this with Denzel Ward, I believe 2022, where he broke his foot at the beginning of OTAs, and he just never looked like Denzel Ward throughout the year. And again, that's a broken foot, not the same as a minor hamstring injury, but you do always worry about that when guys come into camp with injuries. Like, are they going to be healthy? Greg Newsome also going to be targeted a lot, right? Denzel Ward's going to be on one side. Martin Emerson's starting to get a lot of respect. So he's going to get targeted a lot. They're going to try to take advantage of him. They're going to try to get him moving left and right. They're going to try to get him moving on motion. They're going to try to take advantage of him, especially in these man situations. So can he hold up to that? And the physicality of what his position requires versus his frame, and then that hamstring injury does also concern me, right? When it comes to his durability, he's going to be asked to do legit run fits in this defense, and he's also going to be asked to kind of be in the mess on defense, and I worry about him being able to hold up. Now, some reasons to be optimistic about Greg and these hurdles that he's going to have to overcome this year is he's in the contract year, so he has more motivation than ever, and he did recover from that hamstring surgery super fast. So maybe it's not a big deal. Like, he recovered from that way faster than I expected. So that's interesting. Jordan Hicks is another player I'm worried about. Now, I'm not worried about Jordan Hicks because of anything that I've seen. I'm simply worried about Jordan Hicks because I haven't seen him. Like, we in the dark with Jordan Hicks. I don't know what his role is going to be. I don't know how the Browns are going to use him. I really have nothing on him. He got that weird injury in camp. We never got anything disclosed about it, and we're completely in the dark. What I do know is he's going to be asked to cover more. He's going to be asked to move sideline to sideline. We'll see if he can hold up and do that, but I have no idea of how to judge it. The only thing that I can offer here is that he's a veteran player. Next player I'm concerned about is Ethan Posick. I like Ethan Posick a lot. I put Ethan Posick as my highest rated offensive lineman, or my most impactful offensive lineman. And it's not been a great showing that he's had so far in camp. It's not been a great showing that he's had so far in the preseason. I worry, my biggest fear with Ethan Posick is that he might have been a guy who benefited from a specific fit in Callahan's system. This was a guy who was a career backup. He somehow lands in Cleveland, lucks into the starting job, and becomes one of the better centers in the NFL. When a situation like that happens, you have to wonder, was this just a fit benefit that he had? And another thing that concerns me that happened in the background with Ethan Posick is they were really fast to bring back Nick Harris once Luke Whippler got hurt. And on one hand, I get it. They needed a center, so they brought him in. But they spun a 6th-round pick to bring back Nick Harris. And the Browns have traded for starters for similar compensation to a 6th-round pick before. And I don't think it's that Ethan Posick's in danger of being benched, but the fact that the Browns not only felt like they needed to get a backup immediately, but a strong backup immediately in Nick Harris does raise my eyebrow a bit about how does the Browns feel about what Ethan Posick and the work that Ethan Posick has put together in this new offense with Andy Dickerson. And how does Andy Dickerson feel about Ethan Posick? Still, I think he's a good, solid player, and maybe it's just the preseason. And also, I would like to remind myself that even if it was a scheme fit of why he benefited in that last system, there's really no reason that you couldn't incorporate some of those things into a new protection plan for the Cleveland Browns. So if he was good at those things and those things held up, you can just have him do those things. And it shouldn't break a lot of what you want to do. The last player that I'm excited about is Denzel Ward. Now, I don't love when people call Denzel Ward fragile for getting concussions. I don't think there's anything fragile about getting concussions or anything fragile about playing football. Like, most of us are safe in our homes, watching TV on the screen like I do. You have no right to call Denzel Ward fragile. I hate that term when people describe him. It's this guy who's played through injuries multiple times. This guy who has gone through 5 separate concussions and still continues to play football, knowing what the consequences could potentially be when we've seen the effects of CTE. This is not somebody who's fragile. So I hate that term for it. But when I talk about my big worry with Denzel Ward, it's not that he's injury prone. It's just that he has had a lot of concussions. And that's concerning for so many different reasons. I don't really have to explain it. Why there's reason to not be concerned is that he is Denzel Ward at the end of the day. He's been a high-level player through all of these concussions. Hopefully, he can really cut these things down. And if he does, he's one of the best corners in all of football. But the concussions do worry me, and I think they worry everybody. But that's my thoughts, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night.